Hello, cyclocross friends. We are at Fallon Park in Roanoke, Virginia for Go Cross. We're back. It's back. It's cyclocross, and this is the track walk. This is a long starting straight that we're on right now, longer than it was in 2019. It's going to bring us up to the finish line, and again, here's a big change from the last time that we were in Roanoke. We're going to take this hard right turn and then climb up. We're doing elevation right at the beginning, right off of the start straight. This is going to be dicey in here. If you're not up front at the beginning of this lap, I think we're going to see a lot of carnage behind. There's going to be a lot of people who are going to get gapped off early on. Then we're coming back down the hill after this little grass section, and this is another little sketchy bit. We're going to cross over the road, and there's a little ramp here to get over the curb that if you're not being careful, you could boost this pretty hard. There are going to be people getting big air off of that back into the grass, and right away we're just going boom, boom, boom with obstacles as we pass pit 1 on our right hand side. And here's the next one, right into the flyover. You get the start, you get the curb, you get the flyover, 1, 2, 3, right away up and over the flyover. Once you're down there, this is another new feature for this course. The planks have been moved up. These are low planks. They should be rideable, but again, we're only 30 seconds into this race, so the first 10 people might be able to ride those planks, but after that, you're gonna have to get off your bike. You're gonna have to run, so that's really gonna stretch out this field early on. All right, they're long stretches here. We're gonna make this a little downhill, nothing really worth pointing out for this section, but we're going to make this 180 turn, and then we're going to head back right into it again. We have another big feature coming up. This is just feature heavy on the front half of this course, so they're working their way up to the back of the field, and we have our long sand pit. Today, the sand pit, you'll see some riders coming through here, really easy. But if you see this tractor over on the right-hand side, by the time we left at the end of the day, he was plowing up this sand, really making it a lot deeper. It'll be a lot harder. Now check this out. Right at the end of the sand section is a tight left-hand turn. That means that you're not going to be able to come through the end of the sand full speed. You're going to have to scrub off some speed to get around that little gate and back into this wooded section. So if you're really great at riding sand, it takes a little bit of that advantage away and evens the field back up. All right, now we are in our sort of grassy section of this course. We got a little bit of a lull. This is a fun part of the track. Maybe a little time for a recovery, but I'm telling you, at this Go Cross track, there really isn't a lot of recovery. It's really punchy. There's a lot of elevation change. You might not be able to see all of it on the camera angles here, but it really is up and down throughout this, and it is super bumpy. We figure there hasn't been a big race here in a couple years, so it's going to take those early races to really groove in the course for the rest of the fields. Going back around these last couple turns in this grassy section, we're going to be getting to our next feature pretty soon. This is sort of a classic feature for Go Cross, and you know, we can say classic. I think this is the 4th, 5th year that this race has been out here. This is a permanent cyclocross track, and these are the log sections. So we're going to climb up this hill. The first little part of it does not have logs, but you reach to the top of this elevation, you do a 180, turn down, and these are your 3 logs here. You can get really fast speeds, but you have to keep on it. There's Eric Thompson and Kerry Werner making their way through this section. Make the 180 and come back on the other half of the U up on the 3 logs, 1, 2, 3, and then watch this part right after that. This is really sketchy. This off-camber is super blown out. They're going to be coming down here with a ton of speed, and you're going to have to be careful not to wash out on that section. Back to these straight sections, we're finishing up with our front half of the course, and we're going to work our way back to the second half. There's the flyover on the right hand side to get your bearings, and we're coming up on pit 2 on our right. Moving to the back of the course, a couple more changes than what we saw in 2019. The main feature was up here on the left in 2019. It was this big off-camber section that went around that tree. That has been taken out. but it's been replaced by this really cool sort of more slight off camber that's going to loop around and get to the stair section. Again, another feature that has been a permanent part of this park. It's really cool that they're allowed to keep a cyclocross track here all year round. So these steps are just here for cyclocross as they work their way up and around. And this is a part of the course that in years past, I didn't think was done as well as it could have been. I don't think they used this section of the park on the poolside as well as they can. They've made some really great changes to it. It was a tape farm in the past. Now it is just using the terrain, giving us a good off-camber sections. There's this little UCI only dip off here that's going to go around these trees. And again, you can't really tell as much of a drop off as there is, but this is super off camber here. There could be people sliding out there, especially taking this with speed as we dip down to the lowest part of the course. Not as many twists and turns in this section. It was almost a pinwheel in the past, but now it's sort of been straightened out. And where before we would be on the top side of this field, now we're on the bottom and we're working our way up through this wooded section. Before this was a descent through the wooded section, now it's an uphill. I think it's really a great change and also a big challenge over what we saw in the past. All right, little spooky section here. We're getting to go into the woods. This is a nice little mountain bikey single track section. You can see all the orange paint down there. Lots of roots, lots of things that can just jump out and get you, but should be pretty smooth sailing as you see another rider make his way through. This is a section that I believe was on Sunday in 2019, is now on Saturday. It's another wooded section. You can see all the hay bales in there. It's really narrow through this part, but it's really cool. It's super fun to ride through here. I think it should be really fast. And the thing that you have to take into consideration is that we're getting almost to the end of the lap, and you can see how narrow this is. So it's almost, we always talk about the sprint before the sprint. There's like a sprint before the sprint before the sprint in this one. And the first place is getting into these woods first. Because once we come down here to these tracks, the train tracks, the cyclocross track is going to get extremely fast. Hey, it's 2021. You have to have gravel on your course. It's a rule now. Everywhere there needs to be gravel. So this is the gravel section of our course. It's going to take us up to an asphalt part of the course. So just think how fast this is, how much speed is going to be ramped up here. Get on this grass for like a second and then you're on asphalt. We're coming up to the finish of the race, so you know that this is where it is going to be full out on the last lap. There is going to be no waiting around. Everybody is just going to be giving it all that they can, because when we get to the end of the lap, we have another significant change from last year. One little thing I want to point out here, I went straight because I didn't realize that right there was a little cut off. So they actually do scrub a little bit of speed where they take a quick left-hand turn, go around a U in the grass, and then back onto the tarmac. Okay, so in 2019, we would come off on the right here. This was where Curtis and Kerry had a great battle, but right here they would go straight, turn left, and go to the finish. No longer the case. Now you can see we are continuing to head down there, and we are going uphill. So this is before the finish. You got this kicker. This is just going to be, I mean, there are going to be people just that are going to be taking the race organizer's name in vain for making them go up that hill right at the finish, come around a little chicane to scrub speed, because they're now diving back onto the road on that little ramp, and this is the sprint for home. So it's a little more stretched out than what we saw in previous years, a little longer sprint, which is nice, and it's going to set up for some really exciting finishes. And that's it. That's one lap of Go Cross for Me Racing here on Saturday and Sunday. We'll have more coverage on the YouTube page as well as the CX Hairs Bulletin. Hang in there, kid.